Good evening and welcome to Nubian Narrator News, where truth is louder than diplomacy and satire has better aim than border patrol. Tonight's story takes us to Tanzania, the land of Mount Kilimanjaro, political contradictions, and now, apparently, a growing fear of passport-carrying activists with opinions. Boniface Mwangi, Kenyan photojournalist, human rights warrior, and general thorn in the side of injustice, was detained on May 19th in Dar es Salaam. His crime? Attending a public court hearing. Yes, just being present, not rioting, not staging a protest, not even whispering justice too loudly. He showed up to observe a legal proceeding, an act so dangerous it triggered national security alarms and allegedly someone's fragile ego. Mwangi was there to watch the trial of Tundu Lissu, Tanzania's opposition leader, who faces treason charges because in Tanzania, opposing the government is apparently a gateway crime to high treason. The kind of trial where your presence alone gets interpreted as a revolutionary act. If sitting quietly in court is now activism, the bar for tyranny is officially subterranean. Now here's where it gets extra rich. Tanzanian authorities first claimed that Mwangi had been deported. Sent back to Kenya, they said confidently. Unfortunately, this was news to both Boniface and Kenyan officials because, plot twist, he was still very much in Tanzanian custody. It's giving lie now, fact check never. The Kenyan Ministry of Foreign Affairs responded like a parent whose child just got snatched on a school trip. They invoked the Vienna Convention, which for those unfamiliar is basically the international version of saying, you're violating every rule and you know it. Tanzania, ever the diplomatic ghoster, responded with radio silence. But the silence broke 3 days later when Boniface Mwangi reappeared in Ukunda, Kenya, alive, physically fine, but no less disgusted. Released without charges, without apology, without so much as a, hey, our bad for kidnapping you on foreign soil, just dropped off at the border like an Amazon return with no bubble wrap. President Samia Suluhu Hassan finally said the quiet part out loud. She warned against foreign activists interfering in Tanzania's internal affairs, which would make sense if Mwangi had been staging a coup or firing off Molotovs, not sitting on a courtroom bench, tweeting observations and minding his African business. This, dear viewers, is how you know an authoritarian panic spiral is kicking in. The paranoia gets so intense, so insecure, that the mere presence of a camera and a conscience gets treated like espionage. The message is clear: do not witness what we don't want you to see. Do not record what we want forgotten. Do not care unless we told you to. But Boniface Mwangi isn't new to this. He's been detained, threatened, harassed, and still refuses to shut up. He is the human embodiment of "You'll never silence me," with better lighting and sharper captions. And if there's one thing that governments fear more than guns, it's men and women who are fearless, informed, and come with receipts. So yes, he's back. He's safe. But the real story isn't just his release. It's the global warning wrapped in it. That journalism, activism, and even observation are being criminalized at an alarming rate. And not just in Tanzania. So if you're watching this, and you're free to type, post, record, or dissent without fearing a midnight knock at your door, count your privileges, but also sharpen your voice, because silence is what they bank on. Boniface Mwangi walked into court with a pen and a phone and left with international headlines. That's not interference, that's resistance, that's witness, that's power. This is Nubian Narrator News, and we see what you're trying to hide. Try harder. And Mwangi wasn't the only one targeted. Also detained was Agatha Atuhaire, a Ugandan lawyer, journalist, and human rights advocate, aka one of the few people in the region who actually reads the law and applies it. Naturally, Tanzania found that terrifying. Atuhaire had also traveled to Dar es Salaam to observe the court proceedings for opposition leader Tundu Lissu. That's right, Another activist, another observer, another person with eyes and legal knowledge Tanzania apparently wished didn't exist. Now keep in mind, Agatha Atuhaire is no random attendee. This is a woman who won the 2023 EU Human Rights Defenders Award, made it to the Time 100 Next list, and still had to sit in Tanzanian custody like she was caught smuggling vibes. The charges? Still unclear. The reason? Likely having a spine. While Boniface was quietly dumped back across the border like diplomatic contraband, Agatha's story has been met with even more opacity. Uganda's Foreign Affairs Ministry made inquiries. Tanzania responded with its usual strategy, a disappearing act so well rehearsed it deserves a Netflix docuseries. And let's be clear, this isn't just about two individuals. This is about what it means to observe justice in a system allergic to being seen. Tanzania doesn't want activists. It doesn't want lawyers. It doesn't even want lawyers who watch activists. They don't want anyone near the trial unless they're silent, submissive, and preferably unaware of Article 9 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In a region where authoritarianism dresses itself up in Pan-African rhetoric and pastel suits, people like Agatha Atuhaire are threats, not because they riot, but because they read, because they advocate, because they show up. So while Mwangi may be home tweeting fire, Agatha is still unaccounted for, her fate dangling somewhere between international law and regional silence. It's a situation that should alarm every African who's ever cared about justice, transparency, or simply not being arrested for looking. This is not interference, this is accountability, this is law in action. And that, my friends, is exactly what makes it so dangerous. More on this as it unfolds. For now, we watch. And we don't blink.
Stay tuned for a quick message from our sponsors.
Vive Juice, infused with facts, carbonated with clapbacks.
The algorithm made me do it. Where common sense goes to die. Scrolling.